Now we have deflection in axially loaded members. Means the load is acting axially. So a prismatic bar, we have delta L is equal to PL by AE. P is the load, L is the length of that bar, and A is the area of cross section of that prismatic bar, and E is the Young's modulus or modulus of elasticity. So if you are having a bar of circular cross section, you will have A is equal to pi, means area of cross section is equal to pi d square by 4. Now for a circular tapered bar. Now tapered bar means at one point you have a bigger diameter, and as you keep moving along the length you will have a smaller diameter. Okay, or if you are moving from a smaller diameter to bigger diameter, you will find that along the length the diameter is changing. So circular tapered bar is a bar having varying area of cross section which is varying linearly along the length. Okay, so circular tapered bar, in circular tapered bar elongation delta L is equal to 4PL into pi d1 into d2 into E. So P is the load acting on that bar in the axial direction, L is the length of the bar, d1 is the diameter at one extreme, and d2 is the diameter at another extreme. Means d1 is the major diameter or larger diameter, and d2 is the minor diameter or a smaller diameter, and E is the Young's modulus or modulus of elasticity. Now if you are having a rectangular bar of the same circular rectangular bar of a tapered rectangular bar. So in rectangular bar of tapered cross section, means tapered along the length, it has been tapered along the length. So in that case you will have delta L is equal to P into L by B1 minus B2 into T into E into ln B1 by B2. Okay, so B1 is the width that is of higher value, B2 is the lower value of the width, and T is the thickness, E is the Young's modulus, and ln is natural logarithm. Okay, so natural logarithm of B1 by B2. B1 is higher value, B2 is lower value. Okay, so B is width and T is thickness. Okay, so in case of rectangular tapered bar, we have delta L is equal to PL by B1 minus B2 into T into E into ln B1 by B2. Okay. Now a strain, this is the elongation delta L that we are computing, but if you are asked a strain, then a strain will be delta L by L. So this is deflection or delta L that we are computing here, and if you are asked for a strain, then you have to do delta L by L. Okay, because elongation has a unit of meter, but a strain is a non-dimensional quantity. Now principle of superposition. Now this is for varying area of cross section or having different forces acting on it, on the various cross section or in the same cross section. So principle of superposition is shown in this diagram, that one is one cross sectional area of cross section length having one area of cross section, then 2 is another length having different area of cross section, and then we have 3 as different length of different area of cross section. This is a bar of 3 different area of cross section at different positions of different length. Okay, so we are showing principle of superposition here. Now you can see that P1, P2 and P3 and P4 are the various forces acting on it. Okay, in that whole bar. So how do we compute the elongation in this bar? So elongation in this bar is computed by elongation of the different cross section. Okay, and to find that elongation we have to know that which forces are acting on different cross section. Okay, so first of all we have P1 minus P2 plus P3 minus P4 is equal to 0. Means summation of all the forces will be 0. Okay, that's the first thing. That P1 minus P2 because this is in opposite direction to that of P1. So we are taking one direction as a positive and opposite direction as a negative. So P1 is in the positive direction. So we have positive P1. then P2 is in negative direction, so minus P2, then P3 is in the same direction of P1, so P3, and P4 is in the same direction of P2, so minus P4. Okay. Now for first area of cross section we have P1. The force acting on the area of cross section 1 is P1. Now, and this is a tensile force. Okay. Now in the second area of cross section, the tensile force acting is P1 minus P2. Okay. So P1 is acting in this direction, P2 is trying to compress it. So P1 minus P2 is the tensile force acting on area of cross section 2. Then again, in the third area of cross section, we have the tensile force will be P1 plus P3 minus P2. Okay. So P1 plus P3 minus P2 is the tensile force acting on that area of cross section 3. Now you have the load acting on different area of cross section, and you know the length of the different area of cross section, and you know the area of different area of cross section. And if it's a isotropic material, then you can find the elongation by PL by AE. Okay, PL into AE. Okay, so you can find the elongation of that whole bar by delta L1 plus delta L2 plus delta L3. Okay, that's the principle of superposition. So delta whole elongation is equal to delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3. Now same, if the bar is fixed at one end. Okay, so this is the fixed at one end, and this is the 3 area of cross section, and at one point we are applying a load P. So P is applied at this portion, and then we will see at each cross sectional we will have the same P acting. Okay, so in the whole 3 cross section we will have a tensile force of P. Okay, so R is also P because R minus P is equal to 0. Okay, that we did in the first question also, that summation of all the forces is equal to 0. So reaction forces plus applied forces having opposite direction, and summation is equal to 0. Now in all those parts we are seeing the tensile forces acting on that cross section. So in one we have R, in the second we have P, and in the third we have P. R is also P, so I have just shown R. Now intermediate beams means fixed support on both sides. Okay, so this is the intermediate beam, and P1, P2, P3 are the forces acting at various cross section, and RA and RB are the reaction forces. So from the first, that all the reaction force plus applied force will be 0. So you can do that first. Also this is a fixed beam, so elongation is equal to 0, means delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3 plus delta 4 is equal to 0, means sum of the elongation of each cross section will be 0, because the total elongation will be 0, because it is a fixed support. So support is not moving, means elongation will not be happening. So whether one cross section will elongate, then other cross section will compress to accommodate that extension. So delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3 plus delta 4 is equal to 0. Now on various cross section the tensile force acting will be, in first we will have RA, on second we will have RA minus P1, on third we will have RA minus P1 minus P2, and on third the compressive force acting is RB. Okay, so this is the shown is tensile force, and this is acting as a compressive force. Okay. Now composite or compound bar. Okay. So once again this is a indeterminate beams, means both supports are fixed, there will be no elongation happening, means the delta L will be 0. So delta L1 plus delta L2 will be 0 here. Now in first question, in the first diagram we have two rods, rod 1 and rod 2, that are joined parallelly between these fixed two supports. In the second diagram we have one as a hollow one, and inside that hollow one we have put one another bar 2. Okay, so 2 is inside of that one. Okay, so 1 is the hollow one and 2 is the one that has been put into that hollow tube or hollow cylinder or hollow bar. Okay, so composite or compound bar, this is the P that has been happening. Means if you are stretching these two fixed support with a load P, then we have P1 plus P2 is equal to, means the reactive forces happening in 1 and 2, or the stress load induced in 1 and 2. So P1 and P2 are the stress load happening in P1 and P2. So this all reactive force or the stress force is equal to applied force P. So P1 plus P2 is equal to P. So sigma 1 into A1 plus sigma 2 into A2 is equal to P. Means sigma 1 and sigma 2 are the induced stresses in the bar of 1 and 2. Okay, so sigma 1 is induced stress in 1 and sigma 2 is the induced stress in 2. And A1 and A2 are the cross-sectional area of 1 and 2. Okay, so both equal to P because reactive forces equal to applied forces. Also delta 1 is equal to delta 2 because both are fixed support. So whatever the elongation is happening in 1 will be happening in 2 also in both the figures. So delta 1 is equal to delta 2. So P1 L1, L is constant, L is same for both. So P1 into L by A1 into A1 E1 is equal to P2 into L by A2 into E2. Okay. So E1 and E2 are the modulus of elasticity of 1 and modulus of elasticity of 2. Okay. And P1 and P2 are the load induced in 1 and 2 or force induced in 1 and 2, and sigma 1 and sigma 2 are the stress induced in 1 and 2. Okay. Now you can also find the equivalent modulus of elasticity is equal to using this. Okay. Also in this equivalent you have to put A is equal to A1 plus A2. Okay, so you have to mind this, that P1 into L by A1 into E1 is equal to P2 into L by A2 into E2 is equal to P into L by A into E equivalent. So P is the total load acting. So P is equal to P1 plus P2 and L is same for both 1, 2 and equivalent. And A is the area of total area of cross section, means A is equal to A1 plus A2 and E is the equivalent. Okay, so here P is equal to P1 plus P2 and A is equal to A1 plus A2 and E is the equivalent. Okay, means if you replace the both two bars by an equivalent 1 bar. Okay, so axial deflection in bar due to self weight. So this is shown as first that the prismatic bar of uniform cross section, and in this what will be the elongation due to self weight. So delta L is equal to Wx into dx by Ae. So Wx is the weight at x distance. So this is the x distance from the end, and dx is the small length upon which this whole length dx has been integrated. So delta is equal to 0 to L Wx into dx by Ae or gamma Ax. Gamma is weight density, okay, or weight per unit volume. So gamma Ax by Ae dx. So integrate, you will have gamma L square by 2E or WL in by 2Ae, means that is the axial deflection in bar due to self weight is equal to half of that of the deflection that would have been happening if the W load have been applied at the end. Okay. Okay. So is equal to half of that computed with the extension due to axial pull of the same weight. Okay. So gamma is equal to weight density or weight per unit volume is equal to gamma by AL is equal to rho into Z. Rho is the density, G is the gravity, 9.81 meter per second square. Okay. A is the area of cross section, L is the length of total length of the bar, and W is the weight. Okay. mg. Here we are having a circular cross section, so A is equal to pi d square by 4. Now conical bar. So this is the conical bar we have. So this is dx. So delta L is equal to 0 to L Wx into dx by AE. Okay. Now Wx is equal to 1 by 3 gamma Ax into x by dx. So we have gamma L square by 6 AE. Okay. So delta L is equal to gamma L square by 6 AE. Also W is equal to 1 by 3 gamma into pi r square L. So pi r square L is the 1 by 3 pi r square L will be the volume of the cone, and volume into weight density will be the weight. Okay, weight, because weight density is nothing but weight per unit volume. So weight into volume will give the weight per unit volume into weight will give the weight. Okay, so gamma into 1 by 3 pi r square L is equal to W, where V cone is equal to pi by 3 pi r square L. Volume of a cylinder is pi r square L. Okay, just an additional information. Now temperature induced stresses. Okay, so we have seen that the stresses due to axial pull or stresses due to self weight. Okay, means the extension due to self weight. Now we will see extension due to temperature or stresses induced due to temperature. Okay, because the stresses are only due to the extension that has been restricted. So if you restrict the extension, a stress will induced. So this is the first case. This is a bar whose extension has been restricted by fixing from the both ends. So fixed support delta is equal to means extension is equal to 0. So when temperature is increased means L alpha delta T. Okay, means L is the length, alpha is the coefficient of expansion. Okay, and delta T is the change in temperature. So if the expansion is happening means compression, the induced stress in the bar will be of that compressive nature. Okay, means compression will happening because it has been restricted to elongate, hence compressive forces or compressive stresses will be induced in that bar. Okay, so when temperature is increased, L alpha delta T minus sigma C L by E is equal to 0, means delta total elongation. So elongation due to temperature change is L alpha delta T, and this is the elongation due to means the elongation or compression means it's not elongation, it's a compression happening due to induced stresses. Okay, so L alpha delta T minus sigma C L by E is equal to 0. L is the length of that bar, E is the modulus of elasticity. So when temperature is reduced means minus L alpha delta T is equal to sigma CL by E, because when temperature is reduced, tensile forces will be induced in that bar. Okay, because it will try to contract while the fixed support will not allow it to contract. So tension forces will be induced in the bar. So stresses are only due to the delta L which has been constrained. So if relaxation is given, subtract this from L alpha delta T and equate this. Okay, so if you are given any relaxation value, then subtract this relaxation from L alpha delta T. Means some relaxation means some gap has been given that it is free to deform up to that gap. So up to that gap will not give any stressor. So that gap has been deducted from this L alpha delta T value. So stresses are only due to the delta L which is constrained. So if relaxation or gap is given, subtract this from the L alpha delta T and then equate delta T is equal to 0. Means delta L is equal to 0. Okay, so L alpha delta T minus relaxation and the same thing happens. If the temperature is raised, the compressive stresses will induced, and when temperature is reduced, tension forces will induced. Now the second case, in this case there is a two bars or two plates have been joined together. Okay, so one is the copper one and second one is the steel one. Okay, so they are joined together or bolted together. So these two bars are bolted together or joined together. Okay, so whatever the expansion will be happening in or contraction will be happening in copper tube or copper bar will be equal to that of the happening in the steel bar or copper steel tube. Okay, so when temperature is increased, then delta C is equal to L alpha C into delta T minus sigma C L into EC. Why compressive forces are induced in copper? Because copper will try to elongate more than that of the steel, because it is more having more coefficient of expansion than a steel, means it has more conductivity and more expansion than a steel. So copper will try to increase more while the steel will try to restrict its elongation. So due to that, compressive forces will be happening in the copper tube, while in a steel we will having the tensile, because copper is trying to take it with him. So tensile forces are induced in the steel one and compressive forces are induced in the copper one. So L alpha C delta T minus sigma C L by EC is equal to L alpha S delta T plus sigma S L ES. L is same for both. Okay. Also, the load beared by the steel and copper will also be the same. So sigma S, because no other stress or any additional load has been given, so whatever the load will be given by the copper will be beared by the steel, and whatever the load given by the steel will be beared by the copper. So PS is equal to PC. So sigma S is equal to AS is equal to sigma C into AC. Now when temperature is decreased, minus L alpha C delta T is equal to sigma C L by EC is equal to minus L alpha S delta T minus sigma S L by ES. Okay. So when temperature is decreased, copper is trying to contract. Okay. So copper is trying to contract because it has more coefficient of expansion. So when the temperature is increased, it is trying to contract. But a steel has not that value of alpha, because alpha C is more and alpha S is less. Okay. So alpha C is more and alpha S is less, means copper is trying to contract while the steel is holding it and not allowing it to contract. Means tensile forces will be induced in copper and compressive forces will be induced in a steel, because copper wants to pull a steel with its direction while a steel wants to pull it in its direction. So copper is facing a tensile forces and a steel is facing a compressive forces. Okay. So when temperature is increased, minus L alpha C delta T plus sigma C L by EC is equal to minus L alpha S delta T minus sigma S L by ES, and PS is equal to PC because no any other external forces are acting. So whatever the force happening in both will be equal and opposite. Now shaft and series. So this is the series combination of shaft. Okay. Once again the fixed support will be there, means the extension will be 0, or if you are pulling it from both sides, then extension will be there, but it's a fixed support, so delta is equal to 0. Now series connection. So all the load will be same, means P1 plus P1 is equal to P2 is equal to P3. It's a 2 cross section, so P1 is equal to P2, and it's a 3 cross section, so P1 is equal to P2 is equal to P3. Means load bear by the all the cross section will be the same. Okay. Now first case, delta 1 is equal to delta T is equal to 0, means delta L1 plus delta L2 is equal to 0. So temperature is increased, L alpha 1 delta T minus sigma 1 L1 by E1 plus L alpha 2 delta T minus sigma 2 L2 by E2. In both, compressive force is acting because temperature is increasing and they are not allowed to expand. So in both case, compression is happening. So L alpha 1 delta T minus sigma 1 L1 by E1 plus L alpha 2 L2 alpha 2 delta T minus sigma 2 L2 E2 is equal to 0. And load is same. So sigma A1 is equal to sigma 1 A1 is equal to sigma 2 A2 is equal to sigma 3 A3 if you are having 3. Now in all three cases there were no external forces applied or engaged. Okay, so all the three cases that we are concerned with, we are not having any external forces. Now elastic strain energy.